Hey guys, Steve here. It's Tech Tuesday, and it's been quite some time since we've seen you all, and it is great to be back. Today we're going to be talking about the Polaris RZR 200s. They're pretty bitchin', and we've got a cool guy here to talk about them as well, and some of the cool features we're going to be having for this car. But in order to do that, we've got to go over to Justin Smith.
Well, hi guys. It's been a little while, like Steve said. We've been doing some vacations and some other stuff. But I got to tell you, with today's feed about a Polaris 200, we have more people that are excited about this than almost any other feed in the last, a few months. And none of us could fit in one of these cars, yet we're all excited about this. I think that's because everybody's kids are probably the number one thing in their life, and they're looking for what they're going to do with this stuff. So we're going to kind of go over what these 200s have in them compared to the previous hot rod for kids, which would be like a 170, and some of the things that are coming out, or at least that we're going to be developing for them. And also, we've got Todd Zaccone here from Evo with some horsepower upgrades that are planned on some of these things. You guys are going to be amazed on it. We also have Alan Rudd from Best in the Desert Tech. He is going to be calling in a few minutes, whenever, to go over some of the rules for some of the racing organization stuff that Best in Desert and others are putting together to be able to race these. But if you guys, I'll start off with, back in the day or even right now, the hot ticket for kids is a 170. Well, the 170s are pretty much a go-kart, or at least on the lower end scale of vehicle when it comes to the tech, the suspension, the components. I mean, it's a straight axle like a quad. There's not much for travel. It's not a double A-arm in the front. It's a strut, single arm system. And basically everything around that vehicle has to be modified to be able to race it, or to be able to have the kids run in the thing and not break it. Transmissions, other weak links, all that stuff is pretty standard issue for everyone having to put a lot of time into them. Well, it looks like Polaris listened to a lot of the issues in the 170s and upgraded just about everything in a 200. So let's kind of walk around these, and as we look at a few of the components that are on them, we'll just kind of point out that they've grown up, and they're no longer a go-kart anymore. They are actually more of a UTV, just shrunk down for the kids to run and beat on even harder. So obviously from the rear, we can see that it's not a straight axle anymore. We're dealing with a trailing arm, radius rod, CV system. Much, much better. You can also see that we've got a set of prototype radius rods on this at this very second. We have a lot of prototype parts that we're working on this 200, and we'll talk about those here shortly. But trailing arm, can you believe that? On a kid's UTV, trailing arm, radius rod, CV system. Up towards the front, you're looking at a double A-arm suspension, basically the same as what we're all driving as moms and dads in our big UTVs, are the same thing in this new 200. Ernie, I think you've got some of the stats on this that I'm not completely up on. What do these things weigh, and how much horsepower do they have from Polaris?
Horsepower, what did we see for horsepower?
On the dyno, did you already check it?
We haven't done a dyno. Okay. So it said it weighed 735, and we weighed this at 736, so it's right on the money.
So claimed weight is spot on.
Yep.
What's the claimed horsepower? Does anybody know?
I don't think there's any specs on the horsepower right now.
Really? So it's whatever you get.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, we're probably going to double or triple that in no time, right, Todd?
Yes, sir.
What are so actually let's talk to Todd about it for a second. Todd, Evo, Power Sports, and what do you guys have planned for these things? I know everyone's got their kids in a 170 and they're dying to jump into these 200s.
Yeah, so we have a lot of plans for the power side of things. First thing, we've already tuned the ECU, but we haven't dynoed one yet. So tomorrow we're actually going to dyno test this vehicle to see what kind of power it makes.
Well, let me ask you that real quick. How do you tune the ECU without dynoing it? So what do you mean by tune the ECU and not run the thing?
Sure. So these cars come with an ECU and calibration from like a RZR 570, 1000. So all the architecture in the ECU is something that we've done before. I have all the key maps all mapped out in this ECU.
Oh, so what you mean by tuning it isn't necessarily that you've changed any parameters. It's that you've gotten into it, you know you can manage it, you know what you're dealing with, and so now you're ready to go.
Exactly. Yeah, I found all the rev limits, speed limits, timing tables, torque limitations. So doing what we need to do is fairly.
But inside the ECU and the programming, it doesn't tell you how much power it makes.
No.
At all. It doesn't say, hey, it makes 12 horsepower.
Nope.
And then like, whoop, 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 you're screwed if you make 14. It doesn't say that.
No.
Okay. What are your goals?
I think this will dyno maybe at about 10 to 12 horsepower stock is my guess, but we'll see tomorrow. My goal, I want to double or triple it for sure.
Yes! That's ridiculous.
Because my kids definitely need that.
So, the cool thing about the engine side of things is so like I said, it's got the same electronics as like the RZR 1000. So it's drive-by-wire. There's a little small Bosch 34 millimeter throttle body under there. It's all, electronically controlled. It's got a, decent exhaust system. It's got an air box, a sealed canister air box, kind of like the RZRs do or the Can-Ams. The clutching is really interesting. I've played with the clutching a little bit. And there's, everything we do to the 1000s, we can do to this. So it's really a cool platform.
That's exciting.
Now, since everybody's racing 170s, obviously everybody's going to be jumping into these as well. What are some of the weak points in the 170s that everybody finds, especially when you throw horsepower at it, and kids that are floored all the time?
So I don't have a lot of experience with the 170s. So we'll see, but from my understanding, a lot of this stuff is the same, and this engine's been around for a little while. So
engine-wise, we're decent, but I know like transmission is typically the weak link in a 170, and they blow those up. I don't think that that's the case in these because they're not the same.
They're not the same. Yep.
They've jumped up quite a bit. And when it comes to racing, we'll probably have Alan from Best in Desert sign in just a little bit and let us know exactly what they have planned for some of the racing rules going forward. So hopefully he lets us know that he's ready to go. And John, I think that you might see that on yours. So maybe, Steve, if you could help out if there's a request from Alan, then let us know. But some of the items that we're going to end up doing on this that will go hand in hand with more horsepower. Obviously, some of the suspension is going to be a weak point when everybody jumps this stuff, right? And I think that Ernie could probably show everybody a little bit over on the workbench behind you. Over there, we've actually got shocks in the works that are going to end up going on this 200. Tell everybody what you got in your hand, Ernie.
So these are just some Fox shocks, not just, but they're some Fox shocks. They're QS3s. So on the compression side, you'll have 3 adjustments, and on the rebound side, you were saying there's 3 adjustments there too, right? Yeah. So QS3 on the rebound too. Still lightweight, but an actual true shock, something that we can tune, do a spring kit, and potentially even do dual rate kits on.
Yeah, so
as opposed to a sealed Sachs shock with just a spring on it with like a, what do you call that? Like a Castle preload adjuster? I don't really know what we call those.
Yeah, like a 3-position twist system. And non-tunable, non-valvable, very low quality, tends to blow out.
It does ride pretty good for what it is, though. It's actually pretty impressive.
In addition to shock packages, some of the things that we've already worked on, you can see radius rods are already on these from prototype standpoint. We'll be doing tie rod kits. We'll be doing BSD kits that will show or be able to eliminate a lot of bump steer or any other alignment issues that we'll be able to modify on this. Pretty much anything right up the alley of components and parts that we already make, we'll be making for a 200. We did not jump into the 170s pretty much at all. And that was because of lack of parts and also the lack of what we felt was market. But then it grew, jumped in, and now the 200s are just going to pound that out even higher. So we're all in on this as well as Evo for sure. Did you get Alan yet?
Working on it. He sent a request and accepted it, but it has not come through yet.
All right. Well, Ernie, you've driven this thing around, so have your kids. Maybe you can kind of tell us a little bit about how this thing drives and what your kids think. And you've also driven the other stuff too.
Yeah, so I actually haven't driven a 170, but 170s, I don't even think I can fit in a 170. Off the bat, this says online that it has a 370-pound payload.
So,
well, we overdid that, so it worked out pretty fine.
Was that you and Mitch jumping it today?
Well, yeah, probably. But no, the car is actually very, very impressive. I like the electronics on this the most. So as a parent, you have an app with this car. And on your app, you can control I'm sorry, let me get to my Polaris app here. On my Ride Command app, through my garage, which one is this?
Oh, you got Alan now?
We got Alan.
Oh, okay.
Ernie, save that
I'll
app
pause
because
that.
that's
Yep.
really, really cool.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
want to talk about that here too. Steve, can you give him a hand?
Yep.
Oh, we got all the volume in the world?
Let me see.
Hold on, Alan. We're going to turn you up. Hold on.
Okay, there we go.
You there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, man. So, Alan, just so you guys know, Alan from Best in Desert in charge of the tech and a good portion of a lot of the rules that are established in Best in Desert. You're the man. So I was wondering if you could kind of tell everybody what Best in the Desert has planned for the 200s when it comes to categories or classes, and also some of the basic rules that are involved in that.
Well, we kind of saw this car coming, so we included it into the rules for this year. We didn't know when they were going to get released and get out. Right now, they presently can be raced in the 250 Pro Mod class and the Trophy Unlimited class. As we go forward, now that the car's been out a little bit, I was talking with Brian, we get some of them. I think it'll fit into the Superstock class because of the weight and where it's at. I think it's going to be pretty even with those 170s. We've got one more short course race this year, so we hope we get 3 or 4 of them. We can see where we're at, and then take a really good hard look for next year. I think the car is it's going to change the face a little bit, and it's exciting. The 170 is going to be out of production, so we'll have to integrate the two together.
Alan, have you had a big response or a lot of phone calls from parents that want to jump right in?
We haven't. We really haven't had any requests for these yet. I actually called Brian in car 1 today to talk to him about it, and he said he finally got his, and he's going to start making parts for it and taking a look at it. So I think it's pretty new. You guys are just jumping in. I've seen a couple of them. People have posted pictures. They're getting delivery of them. So I think probably by this last race we should have 3 or 4 of them.
So you think that when you say like the last race, you mean by the end of this year that these will be starting to phase in as the 170s are phased out, and maybe next year you're going to see a ton of this?
I believe so. I believe, there's still quite a few 170s, and we're going to have to find that sweet spot of where this car fits in. I'd like it not to have to be in its own class. I think it'll fit into a group in there where we can kind of watch them a little bit. I do believe that super stock class is probably for the stocker, for the semi-modified cars. We have that Trophy Unlimited class where somebody can go crazy in one, and I'm sure we'll see that before long. But I think that super stock class, that car will fit in well. The weight of it is probably going to handicap it enough to where the 170s are at now that we should be pretty even.
Well, hopefully you don't have everybody that's already got full tilt race 170s pissed off about these running next to them. That's always the case whenever some new model comes out, right? How are you going to kind of separate that and manage it?
Difficult. I know that some of the other organizations have decided they call their we do the 170 Superstock class. They're a 250 class. They're actually kind of throwing it into that mix already. I don't know if any have entered any of those things, but I know they're talking about allowing them into that category. The youth classes are tough. There's so many of them, and there's so many mods, different mods. Like this car here, you guys are just jumping in. I know that some of the other guys are just starting to jump into the modifications of them, so we'll see where it goes.
Well, hopefully, I know you guys have an open phone line dialogue with all the racers, and as they bring up any concerns that you guys are, ready to hear it and make changes accordingly. But I have a feeling that everybody's going to jump into it. It's a more capable UTV than any of the previous stuff, and everyone's going to end up here.
Yeah, I think it's pretty exciting. It's an exciting new car. The independent suspension will be big. Our races are more desert based than your short course races, so that car will probably do really well. I mean, we try to run the kids out in the regular desert, get them desert experience. So that car is going to be an advantage in that part. So it'll probably overcome a lot of its weight disadvantage. And I'm sure you guys will start shaving weight off of it soon.
Well, 760 something pounds, right, Ernie?
736.
736. Hopefully.
With hold on.
With the return spring on the door.
3/4 of a tank of fuel, which is a gallon and a half.
You're right. So I wouldn't doubt these things are going to be 500 or 600 pounds in no time.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing some of these 170s. They're building single seat cars, and I'm sure we'll see all of that in this same car.
What are they getting for weights of a 170?
Yeah, Alan, what are you seeing for minimum weights on a 170?
We don't, at Best in Desert, we don't scale them. But to tell you the truth, I don't know exactly where they're at, and I haven't checked the other organizations. We just haven't. We're really evolving our youth programs. It was kind of a secondary thing before, and as we get deeper and deeper every year, this gets bigger and bigger. And so as we pick up more UTV events, we're probably going to pick up more youth races for next year. And these are all things we really have to take a hard look at for 23, because it's just bigger and bigger. You guys have been in the races. It seems like there's every race the youth size doubles.
Well, Alan, thanks a lot for your help with all the information on this. We're going to take a look at the bottom of this car right now that most people don't get to see. Well, hopefully that nobody at the races ends up in this position and you guys are looking at them, right?
Hey, Mitch, I found your pick in here.
Hey, Alan, thanks a lot, man. We'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Hey, Justin.
Yes, sir.
There was a question regarding this style of racing in this class. They want to know, can we throw pineapples and banana peels at opposing racers during the race?
I do think you should have 3 balloons.
3 balloons?
I think you should have 3 colored balloons tied up in the back of the cage.
Well, I got to tell you, now that we actually are jokingly flip this thing over so we can take a look at the bottom of it, this is actually a pretty substantial chassis. Look at the bottom of this is actually metal, you guys. It's not a plastic skid plate. And there is a full frame in this thing with a lot of tubular support. Real sway bar in the rear, real sway bars in the front. Good 4-wheel disc brake.
Well, it has front disc brakes.
Front brake.
Yeah.
2 discs and a single disc, single caliper in the rear. Apologize. I didn't prepare in advance because I wanted to see this as we were looking at it and just describe what I was looking at. But rack and pinion front, obviously some of the parts that we're going to be throwing at this thing too. But thanks for flipping it over. Ernie, you were talking about the Polaris app and how badass that was.
Yes.
Right?
So the Polaris app.
Pull that up on your phone.
Yeah. So with most of your newer Polaris stuff, you actually have an app. I don't really know the name of the app itself.
It's in the Ride Command app.
Ride Command, there it is. And then you can just put your vehicles that you own in a garage. So I have these 2 vehicles and my other car. But anyways, through here, on this car, you have settings that you can do. You can do speed settings. So going into the vehicle settings, I can change the max speed of this car from 5 miles an hour all the way up to 29 miles an hour. Also, if I have the maximum speed limit turned on, I believe that's how it runs in turtle mode, right? Is that what we call it? Well, it's got a turtle on the dash anyway.
Yeah.
So to get to this speed, it's considerably slower. So basically, you're controlling
less throttle response.
Yeah, it takes longer to get there. So basically, what you're doing is for like a child who's young, just learning, you have the opportunity to turn speeds up and down depending on what you're comfortable with them driving the car.
So it's like the coolest valet key ever.
Definitely. There's also 2 helmets that come with each car. The helmets have a microchip in them. If you do the helmet aware system on this car will not start if there isn't one helmet in the car. So I thought that was kind of bitching, teaching kids at a young age that, safety first, right? So you could also turn that off if you have custom helmets or stuff like that. My kids always wear helmets. So the other really cool thing, and I haven't done it yet, but they have something that they call
a geofence.
Geofencing, yeah. Yeah, so I believe I can just draw a map on my phone.
On the dash too.
Geofence off, right?
Yeah.
So it says it's off right now because I haven't updated it. But basically, I believe the way that this works is I can draw a map on my phone and I can pick the speed of this car inside the map. And as they go outside of my borders, I can pick that speed too, all the way to 5 miles an hour. So
you can just keep them inside the backyard, or you can change their speed if they leave the yard.
Or we're in the middle of the dune, or we're in the dunes, and we have a group of 20, and we got a big circle. And we want them to go slow around the motorhomes and trailers, but they can go fast in the middle and play. It's kind of what we were thinking, but I definitely want to learn more about that stuff. But
you know what would be really, really awesome for that is if you could attach like a cattle prod to the seat, and when they go outside your zone, then they go. It hits them.
Just like a shock net, like a dog shock collar. Jesus.
Dude, that would be the next
And
step.
this is why Justin doesn't have kids.
You're welcome.
Yeah, right?
Steve, what do you got?
There's a question on here for Todd, for Evo. What can you expect from Evo? Are we going to expect exhaust, intakes? Is this going to be a full line market for you guys? Or
That's our plan. We have a lot of, I brought a turbocharger.
Do tell. Show us the snail.
So this turbocharger is actually a little bit too big for this engine. But there's a turbocharger that's about 2 sizes smaller than this that we do have plans to install on one of these engines.
A snail on a 200. How
So,
badass is that?
So if they're actually going on these cars, it would be Jackson's car.
Hot rod kid versus...
My oldest would get that one.
Sounds good.
About exhaust and all that stuff.
Yeah. What else you got, Todd?
Absolutely. Yep. Exhaust, intake system. There are some larger throttle bodies. Definitely clutching is going to be a big thing for these. As well as we have some other things that I don't want to talk about now, but
Please hint. Hint.
there will be.
Does it start with a B? An A?
come on, Todd.
Belts.
Oh, okay. Bells.
Belts.
But no, a lot of really cool stuff that will definitely make these really rip. So, but looking at the Best in Desert rules right now in that Trophy Unlimited class, they do have a forced induction waiver where you can actually run a forced induction car. So we'll see how reliable they are, and one of these with some boost and on E85 should rip.
Well, I think that it seems like I'm talking to you and talking with Alan and some of the things that we have planned in addition to shock systems and other things, that the sky's going to be the limit with these 200s. And we also know that the market for a 170 is pretty big. It's going to be bigger in the 200. What have you got over there? Dom, you've got a shock in your hand and a question?
Are you going to make this IQS capable?
Yes.
So
yes.
it's a small base valve. We already have IQS for that. I just think we might be adding too many things to kids' plates, but
Are you trying to say you don't want the kids to choose what they have for suspension settings? Some of them are
Jackson's
pretty
getting a
sharp.
turbo.
Yeah.
He needs suspension.
Well, okay, so these are supposed to be for 10 years and old and plus, right? And I have a 6-year-old and 8-year-old in the car, so
That's just a suggestion.
Yes.
yes, we can definitely do it. How about that? We could definitely do that, and we could do even way more cool things. But yeah,
I've never seen the age police at the racetrack. Just hasn't
I've
happened.
never seen the age police.
No.
So
Mitch, what do you got?
There is one question on here about the stock cage versus an aftermarket cage. Kind of, I guess, what our thoughts are on the stock cage versus doing something aftermarket.
Well, I mean, anything, every single UTV fits within that question, right? Is the stock cage good enough? Should I do an aftermarket one? What are the advantages? That's the same question we get for everything, and I think that's the case here. These bolt together so they can be packaged in crates. We're never fans of a bolt together unit that's especially in the bendable spots of cages. But these also have to pass stringent government tests, so these have been rolled over. They pass those tests. I think your kids are safe with these, but if you start racing them, then chromoly is better, and handmade stuff is also going to get rid of a lot of the bolt together sections, and you can also reposition things like the seatbelt bar down to the height of your kid's shoulders, because you don't want to have that geometry wrong. If your kid's shoulder is down here, you don't want a seatbelt coming from the top because the kids can slip up inside that belt. So you want to have this seatbelt tube about 4 inches, between 2 to 6 inches below your kid's shoulders so that belt wraps around it. That's just standard issue if you look into best in desert rules. Early any NHRA rules are going to give you those dimensions, and that's the best thing for a wreck. So aftermarket cages, you can control some of that. You can start putting some X's in here so when you hit the thing sideways, it doesn't fold it over. Aftermarket's better. Stock is good enough for play, and aftermarket for race. And I think that the aftermarket cages are going to be a must when it comes into the racing rules. You're probably going to have some listing for chromoly diameters and also wall thicknesses in that. You guys got any more questions on this stuff? Steve, how about for your kids?
Me buying for my kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, one day maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, 2 years old.
Not anytime soon. Todd, are you going to have a turbo kit for the 200 before a turbo kit for the Pro R?
I think that's a burn.
It'll be the same kit.
It might have been a poke. I don't know.
No, for sure, we will have a turbo kit for the Pro R first. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
You guys in the works?
Oh yeah.
Almost done?
How
far
I'll
along are you?
have actually some teaser photos probably later this week.
Awesome.
Yes.
Is it going to idle with the exhaust glowing red hot all the time?
No.
Okay, weird. Is it tuned correctly?
I
Awesome.
think so. Yeah, we're actually going to tune it with the factory ECU to start with.
Awesome.
Very, very nice.
So-
Perfect. Mitch, you got anything?
Graph is on. He says, "What's up, fellas?"
Awesome. Hi, Graf.
I do know that Doug at CMW is working on cages.
Okay.
So he's going to have some availabilities. And I think he was talking about making them incorporate a window net, which would be great for kids too.
Perfect.
Especially if Todd's going to get his hands on it and they're going to be
Yeah.
going 40 instead of 29. That'd be pretty important. So
Steve.
People want to know. They know you said about the radius rod already and the shocks, but what else can they see on this? Is there going to be sway bars? Is there going to be other types of stuff that we
Yes.
are going to come out with?
Yes, yes, and yes. So we may not have a actual bolt-on sway bar with multiple holes, but we will have an adjustable sway bar system in some way, shape, or form for this. We're going to have links. We'll have tie rods. We'll have BSD kits, so you can adjust bump steer just like everything else that we have. And obviously shock systems, spring systems. And if we find that the rack and pinion is weak, then we'll be building a rack and pinion. But the full gamut of our normal product list will be on this 200, I think, very shortly. We're working on it as fast as we can.
I think as a little bit of a goal too is everyone's into like the small three-wheelers and the small dirt bikes and stuff like that. It would be really cool if we can create a kit with this that works great for your kids, but we can hop in them and camp and have fun too.
You mean an adult seat position or something like that?
I mean, I'm not really worried about the seat position. I'm worried about maybe like the
spring
shock
race.
setting or something like that, to where we can hop in it and we're not limited to being super fat.
So
I guess
you're-
is what I'm talking about.
I'll be your co-driver.
Yeah, we're gonna overload that thing.
You're thinking about so 200 races within camp might be
Oh,
the new thing.
100%. Kids go to bed because it's time. They go to bed because it's time for us to race.
So bumpers and Nerf bars should also be on the list.
100%.
Okay, let's
100%.
have Doug make all that
We'll
stuff.
get Doug
so
on
we don't
that.
have to worry about that. But
And 3 balloons.
Yeah,
3 balloons. I'm red.
clown car.
So
Awesome. Todd, anything else you want to tell everybody you're doing?
Yeah, one thing we're actually I've thought about this a lot, and because it's for the kids, we are going to be donating our software tuning for these vehicles. And what I mean about donating it is we are setting up an account at Phoenix Children's Hospital. And we're going to just require people to make a donation to Phoenix Children's in order to get the free tune. So it's near and dear to my heart. They actually saved my son's life when he was born. So it means a lot to me. I always love giving back to the kids. So this is something we're going to do to raise some money for a good cause.
Todd, that's badass. That's really, really, really cool. So to reiterate what I think I just heard from Todd, if you guys want to get any horsepower out of these things and do the tune, then donate to Phoenix Children's when the tune is available, and the tune's going to be free. Does that sound?
Yep.
That what it is?
Yeah, we haven't figured out all logistics how it's going to work, but that's the gist of what we're trying to achieve.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Maybe we can do something similar.
I think we should get on that train with them.
But if you guys have any questions?
I got one last question
What
for
you got?
you, and then we'll leave you alone, Todd.
We should bring Todd on more often.
I know.
Still in the show. Will the performance upgrades that you guys are doing be compatible with the app? Like being able to turn down the speed and all of that still?
Yeah, that is our goal, 100%. Yeah.
So even though you're adding power, you can take it back off?
Yep.
Okay, badass.
Not take power away, but speed limit it, yes. So you may get to 29 pretty quick, or whatever speed you want to set, but we'll still keep the ability to lower it.
How fast do you think this will go without a speed limiter?
I would
'Cause
say
I know it gets to 29 pretty good, and
think it would
then it
be
just
40.
levels off. I bet it
35 or 40, yeah. Especially when we get the clutching done, 100%, yeah.
I'm all about it. That makes speed bumps pretty good.
So for these children's cars, we're really actually trying to think about ourselves in these
100%.
things, is what I'm getting at.
100%.
All right, so adults in the future, yes, we're going to have enough horsepower to move your fat ass around, I think is what everybody is saying, right? And
I think that'd be an interesting best as a class. So they allow the kids to race in the adult class.
Just a big dome up here so you have a helmet. Your helmet can stick up here.
Alan, do something for the rules so adults can race with these. That would be hilarious. And then we'll have we'll do a bunch of videos.
That would
and
be so rad.
It'll be like Benny Hill music in the back, you know.
Definitely need balloons on that one.
But you guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Looking at these 200s, they're pretty badass. If you haven't seen them, go check them out. If you got kids, you're gonna want one. If you got somebody racing in 170s, get rid of it, step up to these. We're gonna have a lot of products for that kind of stuff. Steve, you good over there, man? You got any questions before we go?
Well, there was one final question. It was asked 3 times.
Okay.
Justin, what happened to our new location?
I don't want to taint this video, but it's still in the works. We're actually almost to the point where we got a lease signed, and we will let you know where that is and what's going on very soon as the paperwork is done. So almost there. You guys, thank you again for tuning in. Appreciate it. And look forward to bringing you products both from Todd at Evo and us for these 200s very soon. Steve, take us out, please.
Guys, if you're looking to buy anything from Evolution Power Sports, visit evopowersports.com. Is that correct, Todd?
That's correct.
Or if you'd like to buy anything from Shock Therapy, visit www.shocktherapyusa.com. Or if you have any questions, 623-217-4959.